Hey guys, it's Dr. Graham Walker. I'm going to do another screencast today, this time on Claude Code. Claude Code is a much more powerful way to automatically write code even faster. I've shown some demos in the past with Claude or ChatGPT, but we'll do another clinical demo this time, and I'll show you how Claude Code kind of automates code writing even faster and why it's so popular. What is Claude Code? Claude Code is a command line interface, a CLI. What is the command line? Well, it's this thing. It's called the terminal. You have it if you have a Mac or Windows or Linux. Any computer has this. And back in the 1980s, when I was growing up, this is actually how you controlled computers before Windows was popular. So you would write commands out, like I can type ls and it'll show me like the files in this folder, and it's how you would like run programs or write programs. You did it all through text, not clicking with a mouse and clicking save. You just typed with your with the keyboard only. Claude takes that and allows you to write code through Claude, but directly onto your computer, as opposed to writing it like onto a web page. And I'll show you what that actually means, and I'll explain the benefit here. Most of the demos I show are obviously visual because I'm showing you a video, but sometimes you don't want to just write code that makes a web page, or code that whatever creates an image. Maybe you want to create a database, or maybe you want to just modify some data in a big Excel spreadsheet. Well, those aren't visual things that you're accomplishing. Those are just writing software tools. And so Claude Code allows you to write code much more efficiently without having to go back and forth through a browser window to like save and download a file or preview a web page. It's all going to do it automatically on my actual computer. So let's dive into how this works. For the purposes of this demo, I'm going to actually load this up in my code editor. It's called Visual Studio Code. It's a free tool here. And we are going to create a little clinical tool that's going to read through some clinical notes that I've had ChatGPT create, and then we'll use Claude to review those tools. But first, let me just tell you about the case so you kind of understand what we're building and where this idea came from. Recently in the ER, I was taking care of a patient that had I'm not kidding, 15 notes over the course of this illness that he had dealt with for the past week. And then he came to me for yet another opinion because his kind of condition progressed and changed and kept going back and forth. So I had to go through like 15 different doctor's notes, trying to piece all the timeline together and what tests and what treatments did he get when, and back and forth and back and forth. It was a lot of work. And I realized, this is one of the things that was taking up a ton of my mental energy, trying to create a mental timeline in my head. Because when you look in an EHR, you're having to look one note at a time. You can't see everything in a nice timeline view. It can be really frustrating to try to keep it all in your head at one time. So here's the case. This is a made-up case. This is obviously not real. ChatGPT made up all these notes for me, but it's obviously based on real clinical medicine. This is Sarah Connor. I thought our heroine from the Terminator series would be appropriate for an AI video. So here's the quick story that is kind of told through all of these clinical notes that have a bunch of kind of junk in them as well. So Sarah was pregnant. She had her son John via C-section. Sarah developed endometritis, which is a uterine infection. She got some antibiotics afterward. No big deal. Went home then on some antibiotics and got all better, was doing well first week of life with John at home, and was fully successfully treated. Well, a couple days after she finished those antibiotics, Sarah gets a UTI. She gets some UTI symptoms. She gets a fever. She goes to the ER. She gets some more antibiotics. She goes home thinking everything's going to be better. Well, it turns out that Sarah actually had a resistant bacteria, a resistant bug that was resistant to the antibiotics the ER prescribed, because there was no way to know what bacteria she had. And so she comes back again. And so now we are seeing her in the second time in the ER. And maybe we want to get an infectious disease consultant in to help review which antibiotics are appropriate to give her, because she's still got a fever now again. And it's like day 8 after her C-section. So that's the story, and it's told out through all of these notes that I've had ChatGPT generate. Here's some demographics, but generally, these are just all random notes. This is the ground truth document here that I'm actually going to delete so that it doesn't know what is going on with the patient. And this goes through, this is a mixture of all the notes from the ER, nursing notes after she had her baby, back and forth. And so we're going to ask Claude to try to analyze this and make sense of all of it. So how do I do this? I'm going to open up Claude here. Now, this screen at the bottom here is just a terminal window, just like the other one I showed you. So you can type anything here. I can type this same kind of LS concept, and it'll show me my files and my directory here. And we're going to just start Claude. So all you do after you install it, and I can give you the instructions, very easy to install. You just type Claude, and it's going to recognize, hey, this looks like it's a new directory. There's not really any code in it yet, just a bunch of text files. And so what I'm going to first do is just type init. So Claude has a bunch of commands that help the kind of the human user optimize its use. So if I type init for initialize, what Claude is going to do is read through all of the files already in this folder. And so that could be files from an already working list of code. It could be a fully empty directory, or it could have just some text files like this case. So it's going to read through those and try to make sense of what are they doing in this folder, so that it can provide better instructions and give better information to the coding wizard in the future. Looks like it's already done here. Let's see here. So it's going to now generate this file called claude.md. It's just a file that it uses to summarize what's going on in the directory so it knows how to best code and help. So let's see here. It's saying it's a collection of clinical notes and patient data for postpartum care. So it's interesting. It hasn't figured out yet that this is all one patient and all one encounter, or all one kind of, a week of Sarah's life. And now it's asking me down here in the bottom, do I want to make this edit to claude.md? And it's giving me three options. No, don't do it. Yes, and then yes, and don't ask me again. Now, I'm just going to click yes this time, but I'll show you don't ask me again is going to make this tool work kind of more automatically, and I'll show you that in a second. So it's now saved this Claude.md file. And the next thing I'm going to tell you about is adding memory. So Claude made its own opinions about this collection of notes in that Claude.md file. I'm going to tell Claude a couple more hints about it that I want it to remember when it's building out this program that we're going to build. So I'm going to hit the pound key. That helps Claude know that I want to add some memory. I want to change the way it thinks about this folder. And I'm going to say this folder contains notes from the same patient within about a week of her care. So it is all related to one person. So the next time Claude goes in and looks at this code, it's going to understand, oh, this isn't just a random collection of notes. These are all related to one person's kind of clinical encounters in their life. So let's give this a try here. Let's just say make a quick web page to summarize what's been going on with Sarah Connor. Okay, I'm going to hit enter here. And now Claude is going to look through all of those files and try to make sense of it all. And because I specifically asked for a web page, it's going to make a web page. You could have it spit out an Excel spreadsheet, an Excel spreadsheet format. You could have it make a database of all of Sarah's antibiotics. You could have it make a graph of how many visits or how many notes there were, how many nursing notes. You could do anything, but I've specifically asked for a web page because I'm showing you a demo online. So I'm going to make something visual, obviously. And it's going through and it's explaining each step here. If you look at the to-dos here. So it's figuring out, okay, I need to read all the notes and understand the timeline. I need to extract the key events, and then I need to actually create the HTML. Right now, it is doing its first task, and you can see here it's saying how much time it's taking and how many tokens it's using. Tokens are that kind of currency that a large language model uses when it splits up words and tries to make sense of the world through the math, essentially, of large language models. And I'm going to pause here and wait until the tool is done. Okay, so we're back. That took another about 90 seconds or so. I could have made this a lot easier for Claude had I kind of organized the files better, but I intentionally made this difficult, intentionally named them weird names and random characters to make it kind of work harder to see if I could trick it. So now it is showing me that it's built the web page, and you see down here at the bottom, it's saying opened changes in Visual Studio Code. Do I want to make this edit? And I'm going to choose option 2 now, which says essentially, hey, if you're just saving a file, I trust you, go for it, don't ask me again. And that'll add to the automation, add to the fact that Claude can just go kind of build things on its own with my permission. And every time you ask it for, every time it's going to ask you for a new permission. So if it needs to make a new directory, it's going to ask for permission, then you can give it permission once or permission for the future, or you can do it just for save files or for even deleting files if you want to allow it to do that. Okay, so it is saving that file. You can show it. You can see that it's shown up now here in our file directory on the top left. And here's the Sarah Connor thing. Again, this is live, so I'm going to launch this file. I have no idea what this looks like or how it's going to look, but let's just give it a try. So I'm going to click on my little launch button here. Okay, and here we go. This is Sarah Connor's postpartum care. We've got her medical record number and her pregnancy. And wow, this is nice. It's giving me I mean, the formatting is a little funky, but it's giving me honestly a pretty nice timeline of the different days. It's highlighted in red that she got endometritis and had a fever and chills and some fundal tenderness, and they got some blood cultures and they started some antibiotics. And it's going through, ER visit, second ER visit, and that's where we kind of end. And it's summarizing here what it thinks is going on. Just kind of quickly skimming through this, but looks pretty darn good. You can imagine this is, I think this is a pretty good summary for the patient or even for a physician seeing them. Let's take this a step further, though. And I just want to first shout out to our infectious disease colleagues. If you don't know what an infectious disease doctor does, they are a critical piece of any hospital. Every hospital depends on them. They are incredibly humble, dedicated physicians, and they don't get supported and certainly not paid enough in our healthcare system in the United States of America. So I thought, gosh, could we build a tool that helps ID doctors with the complex tasks that they do of trying to look through numerous cultures and antibiotics and kind of piece that all together? And that's where this all came from. I was like, hey, can we help our ID doctors out? So let's change the prompt now, and just instead of just saying that we want a summary, let's make a summary specifically for an infectious disease colleague here. So let's type that out. Okay, great. Now I'm going to add in a role here, acting as an infectious disease master clinician. Make a new web page to help the infectious disease consultant understand what's going on with this patient and what the key questions and concerns will be about her infections and antibiotics. Now I'm going to hit enter. Now, Claude is going to be getting to work. Now, here's the way that this is particularly cool and powerful. Because I've already told Claude, yeah, hey, I trust you. Go ahead and just make the file and save it when you're ready. I can walk away. I can go walk the dog. I can get a cup of coffee. I can do another task. I've already given Claude the power to run the program itself. And so I could just go leave and come back. And this thing might be done in 3 minutes. It might be done in 5 or 1. But I don't have to go back and forth and look on the screen and say, oh, Claude messed this up, and then type things back into Claude.ai or ChatGPT or something like that. It'll just run automatically. And I'm barely scratching the surface here. You can even configure Claude to run its own browser, take a screenshot of the web page you have Claude make, and then have Claude make sure it's done the task successfully. So you could say, hey, I want this page to be a background color of red. Claude will then take a screenshot of the thing that it just made, use its computer vision and say, oh no, it's blue, not red. And then it'll go in and say, oh, I need to change it to red. Then take another screenshot and say, oh, look, it's red now. I've now actually completed the task. So the automation levels of this stuff is simply incredible. And that is why you're starting to see so many people talk about how software engineering is going to be very different in the future, because these tools can very successfully build stuff with very little intervention. And I'm just barely scratching the surface. Okay, this thing's done while I was rambling. It's created idconsultation.html, and let's just open up this file and see what it does. Okay, here's the infectious disease consultation page. This is I was blown away by this. Okay, so it's highlighted the critical issues that maybe an infectious disease doctor would want to hone in on. It's focused on the particular microbiology, the cultures of the urine culture showing R is what's resistant and what medicines it's sensitive to. Here's some risk factors for maybe why the patient got the resistant bacteria and bug. Here's a timeline of the antibiotics that she got. These are effective. She completed these, and then she got the repeat antibiotics for the UTI and the ER, which was resistant, so it's not working. And here's diagnostic priorities, current clinical status. I mean, these tools are simply incredible. The way I think about this is, imagine if each hospital had a technology partner that helped their physicians and their specialists come up with tools like this that could help mimic the way the doctor processes information and thinks about the world and highlights it for that physician. What an infectious disease doctor needs is very different from an orthopedic surgeon or a cardiologist or a pediatric cardiologist even. And so these tools make it extremely powerful to get the solutions in the hands of practicing clinicians who need the help and know exactly what problems they need solved. This is Graham Walker. Hope it's inspired you. Give Claude Code a try. Thanks for watching.